energy system flow so well. And so thank you so much for joining me tonight. The title is, Can the Emotion Code Help with That? And yes, it probably can. And so let me just do a hello here in the comments. If you are joining, I would love to have you type in and say where you are joining from. And I'm hoping that I got that. Yes, I did. I will show it down here at the bottom. So good evening. Thank you for coming in. And I think you've probably heard about the emotion code because you are watching me here on this channel. And for those of you who are new, I would love to be able to share with you this amazing technology. And so you see the book behind me, The Emotion Code, and it was written by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He is now a retired holistic chiropractor. And as he was working on his clients when he still had his chiropractic office, he discovered that people had these elements that just were not getting corrected with a really wonderful chiropractic adjustment. And he eventually just discovered the emotion code system and additionally the body code system. So what that is, it's based on the understanding that every experience that we have is filed in our brain, in our energy system, our subconscious mind, and it's kind of running this underlying program just like your computer is running underlying programs in the background. So there's all kinds of things other, it's not just the screen that you're looking at. There's all kinds of stuff happening. I'll call it in the guts of your computer. And so what happens is that as you have experiences, your brain says, well, wait a minute, we've done something similar to this before, so I have a program, and it's just going to shove it into something that you may or may not choose as a reaction or a way to manage the elements that you're coming in contact with. So it's that's kind of a long conversation or long description. So maybe not the most elegant description of what the emotion code and body code can do, but definitely emotion code, body code are both very elegant systems. So if you think of it for, all the garbage that you're just carrying around with you in your head, in your heart, in your body system, energy system, it is a way to just clear it off. So what we do is we work with this emotion code chart. This is kind of the basis of it, and use a biofeedback type of yes or no questions. So if you have something that you really don't like to talk about, maybe it's a trauma in your past or something that is difficult for you to actually recall what the cause of your emotional obstacle is, this is a way to access it. So it's some very simple questions that eventually focus down and funnel down into the rows and the columns that you see on the emotion code chart. And through using this chart, once we identify the emotion, we use a system that is based on your meridians, the governing meridians. So it is through acupuncture systems. And so we can delete that, and it's a very simple action that I'm able to use. We're able to connect over the internet, over the phone. And so, it's just sort of like making a cell phone call or a telephone call. We have each other's number, and we are saying, yes, we're going to have this connection. We're going to have this conversation. You have the elements that you want to work on, whether it's some discomfort or some sort of obstacle. Also working with your pets, whether they be large animals like horses. There's even people that possibly work in zoos and have, really large animals to work with. Very commonly house pets like cats, dogs, birds, fish. And so what we can do is, even with animals who are not able to describe what they're feeling or describe what their past experiences may be, the emotion code system can work on them just beautifully. Again, because it's connecting into this energy system. So I wish I would have a volunteer with me tonight so that we can actually do a demonstration. So if you are watching, I know sometimes people are watching and they're maybe a little bit bashful about saying hi, but please do. And I'm going to hide my screen there. So some of the focus for right now is, I think, just the amount of overwhelm and stress that people are feeling. So, it's a busy time of year. People's lives are very busy. If you're following the news, which typically is bad news, if there really aren't any programs that they put on that are highlighting good news. Or they might have, a 30-minute episode of news, and in the final moment, they'll say, oh, yeah, there was this one good little thing that happened today. But the previous 29 minutes was filled with horrible things. So that can become incredibly overwhelming, and just the stress of jobs, and are you working remotely or not remotely? Do you have to stay remote? Do you have to go back into an office? What are you going to do about your kids and schooling? Is school open? Is school not open? It's still during the pandemic that this is being filmed. And so there's a lot of struggles in the world, and it's just very tiring. It's overwhelming. People are running out of energy, running out of enthusiasm, running out of the motivation. It's just everything seems to be a drag. So that is a way that the emotion code can help wonderfully. So there are these times when, you either have a bunch of little things that build up, just the little annoyances. You hit all the red lights. You go to the grocery store, they're out of your favorite brand of something, or you thought you had social plans and then they get canceled at the last minute. So these are not end of the world type of events, but they certainly are frustrating. And especially when they start adding up, it can make you very tired, very stressed, very short-tempered, difficult to live with. And whether that is you or the person that you live with who is going through these kinds of things, an emotion code session can be really beneficial. It is a way of relieving some of the elements of the emotions that you find on that emotion code chart. So let's go back to the chart. Here we go. There's some of them, like in column A, row 2, there's anxiety, despair, disgust, worry, nervousness. So yeah, if you're living with a person, or you are the person who is feeling a bunch of emotions of nervousness and worry, those can add up to sleeplessness, headaches, body aches and pains, frustrations, short tempers. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to have a session and say, okay, this is what you're having, is this element of nervousness. Through the we can identify that or any of these emotions are the one or the few that are really building up and causing you a difficulty. And then we are able to release it. What I do is actually, by talking about your energy system, I have some special magnets that I use. And really any magnet, it doesn't have to be special. It's just, these are my favorite. And so once we determine what that element is, then again, with ancient Chinese medicine and through the acupuncture meridian pathways, it's going over your governing meridian. So if, for example, your issue is worry, we would be able to identify at the severity level. We would be able to locate if it is something that is actually your emotion of worry, or you may have absorbed it from someone. It could have been any kind of environment that you came into. So could be watching a news program and they're talking about all this bad news, and then you become worried about it, and then it just sort of sticks with you after the news program ends. So that is something that we call an absorbed emotion. There's also something called vibrational resonance. And so that it's sort of like ringing a bell that, when you hit the bell, it's just one strike of a bell or a gong. And the initial strike creates the sound, but then there's this vibration that continues afterwards. So that's what's known as vibrational resonance. That might be a feeling that you say, well, I just can't shake this feeling. I can't shake this worry. Or you'll say, I was just fine until I heard a news report, or I had overheard a conversation in a coffee shop. It can be anything that it'll just sort of stick to you, and it's not yours. And so it's best to get rid of it. So what we do then is just take the magnet over the governing meridian and release it, clearly identifying what that emotion is, where it came from, absorbed, inherited, the vibrational resonance. And then you find that you feel better. And that's what it's all about, is having you feel better, having you feel your best, having you feeling better than you were before. And that's why I call my business Get Feeling Better. It's really amazing. You don't necessarily have a concept of how much emotional baggage you are actually carrying around. So it's, just this old stuff. It's kind of like cleaning out your emotional attic that, there's a bunch of stuff there. At one point it was important to you, or at one point somebody gave it to you, and so you just put it in a box, you stuck it in a corner, you weren't really sure what to do with it, so you hang on to it. And it's just what we do. And we may, if you ever have gone in to clean a closet or an attic or something that you haven't been through for a while, there's stuff that you find that you're like, oh, I forgot that I had this. I didn't know that I had this anymore. I forgot that I ever had it. Or it's something that it's like, oh, you know what? I was looking for this and now I found it. Didn't know where it was, but here it is. So it's the same thing with our piling on of the emotions that we collect. And again, going back to the analogy of the computer, our subconscious mind is just like the computer program, that the database that's running in your computer all the time. And everything that comes in, it's just collected and put into some sort of file key in your computer. And if you get enough junk in there, don't clean your cache out often enough, you wind up having your computer slowing down. It's not running as efficiently. It can have a bug in it. You can get some malware. And when you discover that, it's a problem. And you probably know that your computer is running slowly for a while before you wind up having some sort of a crash, and then you have to do something about it. So before you have some sort of emotional crash, it would be wonderful to have a session, or actually, if you are new to having sessions with the emotion code, people usually book at least 2 or 3, because there are some things that are released with every session, but there's so much buildup over the length of your lifetime that it really does take a little bit of time to sort of peel back these layers. And it's wonderful, and it can change things in terms of your relationships. And that's relationships with people you live with, the ones you work with. It could be neighbors that you have, whether you live on a street in houses or you live in an apartment building, a co-op, and you have to coordinate with a lot of people. That's just what we do. in all facets of our life, we have to coordinate with people. And for some people that find that difficult to do, so maybe you are really painfully shy, the emotion code again is something that can help uncover those emotions that are just trapped in there that are holding you back. And it's a very simple thing. Again, you don't have to go into the long story. It's not like a therapy where you have to journal forever and then go over and over and over this sad story or horror story of something that has been a difficult event for you. I'm going to take a little bit of water. Again, water helps the whole system flow, so it's really important during sessions to show up with some water. And so then the pets part is that if you have a house pet that lives with you, so they're exposed to your emotions, you are exposed to theirs. So if you have a pet that maybe had a previous home, you don't really know, excuse me, what happened in that previous home. I guess I need a little bit of water. So if you're having difficulties with work, or you just saw a really crummy news program and you are mad about the situations in the world, your pets feel that. And so then they can start having behaviors because they're reacting to your moods and the kind of the vibe that you're putting off. So that's where the beauty of not having to know the actual story comes in, because it can work with animals. It can work with small children who are not able to articulate their needs or their wants or their feelings very well. It can work with kids before they are able to speak. And so it's just great. It's pretty simple. It's pretty elegant. And you might have some, huge trauma from a very frightening situation that you were in, or it could be something that is just bothersome to you, like this afternoon I was with my husband and he just said, I've got kind of a headache, and we talked about, well, where might it come from? Is it something from the weather? Did he eat enough? Did he drink enough? Is he thirsty? Is it who knows what? And he couldn't identify anything unusual. So I was like, well, let's do a quick emotion code. And sure enough, he's like, okay, I feel better. It's released. So sometimes just as we're mulling over our schedule, the things that we have to do, and maybe it's not even a very big deal, but we still can have a physical reaction to it. So I do hope that you join me again. Come back with a pet or maybe a person that you know. I have a hunch that you know somebody that you think, oh, they could really drop some of their excess emotional baggage. And this is the way to do it. So do come and visit me. Let me see where I have how you can schedule your appointment. So it's really easy to book an appointment online. It's at hollypitus.com or getfeelingbetter.com. That's an easy way too. Takes you to the same place. And so you can schedule. It's very simple. You just go into the scheduling session, pick a time that works for you, and then we will meet. My favorite really is to meet by Zoom so that we are face-to-face and we can have a conversation about how you're feeling throughout the session. And we can also do it by phone. And then for more established clients, I can easily do it by email because we've already got the basics established. And it's usually kind of a one little quick thing. So I hope that you are having a great day, a great evening. I am here on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and I look forward to seeing you. Come back and see me next week. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.